Cyberpunk 2077 has a lot of opportunities that the game never explicitly tells you about, from special reactions to outside-the-box player thinking to events that can pan out very differently depending on previous encounters. And after scouring the depths of Night City for a good few years now, here are 10 hidden choices I'll bet most of you didn't know you had in Cyberpunk 2077. But first things first, you're here because you want more out of Cyberpunk. Well, what if I told you there's a way to transform your boring everyday browser into the ultimate cyberpunk experience? With today's most fitting sponsor, possibly ever, Opera GX, you can gain access to the official Cyberpunk 2077 hub. And this thing is a game changer. You can play music from Night City, instantly access the game booklet, build planner, or the official Night City interactive map, all from a single webpage. The hub is literally my starting point for a lot of video research, and there's even access to modding and cosplay guides from here too. But to reach the hub, you're first going to need to install the official Cyberpunk 2077 mods. Mods are really where Opera GX starts to get crazy, and this is just one of the thousands that are on offer here. The Cyberpunk mod has over 1.5 million installs already, and it's easy to see why. This thing is so much more than a background and a black and yellow aesthetic. It's also got background music, which you're hearing right now, as well as the same sound effects when browsing as the actual game, audible keystrokes and tabbing sounds. The entire thing is built to feel as cyberpunk as possible, though you can toggle each of these on and off very quickly too. Plus, you can literally import all your settings and bookmarks from your old browser in a matter of seconds. Just go to Settings, scroll down to Synchronization, import bookmarks and settings, and you're done. If this all sounds good, then check it out for yourself in the link down below. Thank you again to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video, and now it's on to 10 hidden choices from the game itself. During the I Fought the Law quest, where we meet River Ward, we're eventually tasked with infiltrating the Red Queen's race, an underground braindance club in Charter Hill that Mayor Lucius Rhyne would often frequent in order to unwind after a tough day of letting the corpse run Night City. And it was this very club where one fateful night, not too long after narrowly surviving an assassination attempt, Rhyne was flatlined by a spiked BD. To cover up the mayor's death as an accident though, his deputy Weldon Holt sent in the Animals gang to scrub the place clean. And by the time we arrive, the club is still crawling with animals. They're everywhere, and sneaking about the place barely appears to be an option. Depending on what level you are when you come to play this quest, you'll in all likelihood blast your way through without so much as a second thought, relying on evidence still strewn about the place and on terminals to complete the quest. But if you manage to sneak your way completely through the upper warehouse down into the basement club and then all the way through to its back office without being detected, inside you'll find the animal boss. And if you stealthily grab her, rather than triggering the standard options of knockout or kill, at least immediately, you'll actually get some unique dialogue and additional clues for this quest.
Lucius Rhyne, recently deceased mayor of Night City. He was here the night he died?
Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. No fucking idea.
Who told you to wreck the club, and why?
Weldon Holt!
Lucius Rhyne's right-hand bull terrier? Candidate for mayor in the upcoming election?
Right fuckhead for the job!
Thanks for the help.
It's a cool way to gather additional intel for this quest, and definitely a reward for successfully sneaking through here. I wish the game lent on more intimidations like this, in fact, for its storytelling. If you want to learn more about who probably actually killed Mayor Lucius Rhyne though, then bookmark this video investigation for later. When returning to Dexter DeShawn at the end of the heist, there's a couple ways we can respond to his questioning. Confirming whether we obtained the relic, or lying and saying we didn't, seems like a big choice at the time, but actually it doesn't matter. This encounter is only ever going to go one way. After returning from the bathroom to clean the blood off, V will be floored, shot in the head, dumped at a landfill, and the rest is the core plotline of the game. What you may not realize you can do here though is completely refuse Dex's suggestion to head to the bathroom, instead waiting in the room with him to overhear a conversation with presumably Orbital Air, asking to book a premium spot on the next shuttle into space to escape the wrath of the Arasakas in a place no one can hear you scream. In fact, ignoring Dex's requests to head to the bathroom once more, we can even question him about this call.
Who are you calling? Evelyn Parker?
Docs. Old tune from my time in transport and logistics. It's all you need to know. Now get that blood off your face.
If we continue to ignore Dex and then question him once again though, V's death cutscene will forcibly trigger anyway, and the game will continue as normal. V is still canonically unable to expect something's up, annoyingly, gullibly falling into this trap. And we don't get to punch a mirror this way, either. But it is cool to see what Dex was originally planning to do come the end of the heist. Now, the Cyberpsycho quests offer a bunch of interesting and unique boss fights against all sorts of chromed up individuals, with some being straight up references to other media, like Ghost in the Shell, and others offering further insights into corporate villainy. I've covered the lore and secrets of each of these in a previous video, but here's one very cool detail for one of the Cyberpsychos in Pacifica. Diego Ramirez was an unfortunate ex-Special Forces operative whose daughter was kidnapped by the Tiger Claws, and in a very Taken-esque take, Diego spent days tearing through Night City, destroying Tiger Claw businesses in an attempt to find her, until eventually the Tigers were forced to set a trap for the guy using his daughter as bait. Unfortunately, unlike Taken, Sofia Ramirez did not survive the ordeal, and by the time Diego reaches the pier, his daughter lies dead underneath it. With his Sandevisson and shotgun, he tears through the trap laid for him until he can no longer distinguish foe from civilian, thus I suppose turning him Cyberpsycho. It's a tough fight for us to bring him down, but there is actually one very cold and slightly long-winded tactic we can use here. By picking up the body of Diego's daughter from a van underneath the pier and carrying it all the way to the end, Diego, at the sight of his daughter's body, will be temporarily frozen in shock, granting us a golden opportunity to attack. Now, by far the quickest and most ruthless way of doing this is to unlock the Savage Sling perk from the body tree first. With this, we can not only run the full length of the pier carrying Diego's daughter, but we can actually throw her at him when we reach the ends, which is of course even more tragic and the guy probably doesn't deserve. Plus, doing this will actually end the stun phase. Instead, by putting her down, we can actually get up behind the stunned Diego and put a swift and immediate stealthy end to the fight. A very cool detail, and a reminder that sometimes the cruelest option is actually the most effective. Speaking of cruelty though, one gonk whom Night City will definitely never be missing is Jotaro Shobo, a small-time extreme brain dance director by the looks of things, and the target for one of V's earliest gigs. In actuality though, V took down one of the most evil men in Night City as a quiet afternoon job, potentially very early on in their career. Jotaro's influence actually runs stupidly deep, as seen by shards found in random places across the map discussing his evil escapades, and if you want a full deep dive on that, then I already did a video for it. But for this video, we're looking at one specific opportunity that can open up pretty early on during the main questline should you have already taken down Jotaro Shobo. In the hunt for Evelyn Parker, V will of course head to Clouds, and after enjoying effectively a one-on-one therapy session, will sneak up to the back offices before eventually coming face to face with Woodman. Now, first off, if you trigger combat before reaching Woodman's office, then you won't have this opportunity. He'll call you a thug that blasted their way through before he starts blasting himself, ending any opportunity for a calm dialogue. But if we sneak to Woodman's office stealthily, we can question him on what happened to Evelyn. The guy won't give away info for free though, and there are several ways we can barter with him. However, if we've taken out Jotaro Shobo before this point, then the news of that event will have spread through the seedy underbelly of Night City like a tale of the boogeyman. A small-time gig for us maybe, but it terrified the criminal underworld, and this exchange proves it.
Clouds is under Tiger Claw control, isn't it?
It's none of your fucking biz.
Guessing you heard about Jotaro Shobo?
Shobo had an accident.
What Shobo had was a very unfortunate meeting with me. Just happened to be his last. Wouldn't want this to be your last meeting, would ya?
Of course not. Never wanted to be anything like Shobo.
And just like that, provided we make sure to explain we took out Shobo, Woodman will keel over and give us everything we need. So making a name for yourself in Night City really does have its perks. And after getting Woodman to cough up that info, he'll of course direct us to Finger's clinic. And here too, there's a whole nother way this encounter can go, which you may never have seen before. If we instead bypass the front entrance completely, come around here to the left, up onto the roof and across the porch, we can instead hop directly into the operating room, with Judy then still appearing shortly after from the door. Though, having caught Fingers mid-op, we can find him chipping a Joy Toy with a faulty second-hand faceplate. He'll try to insist that we wait to let him finish, but with a little pushing, we can actually force the guy to give up on the poor girl mid-op.
You can go back and play doctor once you're done with us.
I guess you'll have to wait, darling. Circumstances what they are.
I can't wait!
There, wipe away your tears. Don't want any short-circuiting now, do we?
Just another example, really, of Fingers being a slimy human being. I waited around after our talk as well to see if he actually goes back to the patient, but not apparently whilst we're still in the clinic, either because he just doesn't, or he's out on the floor cold, or dead. The apartments are a great way to experience the highs and lows of Night City living. From the literal trash heap that once could have been luxury corpo living, that is the Dogtown apartments, to the spacious attic living of the Glen, they're a fun thing worth saving the eddies for. Though, with subsequent patches, said eddies have become somewhat dearer for each. The good news is that one of them can actually be obtained completely for free though, if you happen to be sporting the right build. But the bad news is that said build just so happens to be a netrunner with the whole 20 points in the intelligence attributes, and it's also the cheapest apartment of the bunch over in Northside. But as they say, a penny saved is a penny earned, and for those highly skilled netrunners amongst us, don't bother forking out the scratch for this one. Instead, come over here to the terminal on the right of the door and hack it so good that it re-registers us as the rightful owner, free of charge. There is also apparently a code we could put in here, though I don't think anyone's ever actually discovered what that is. Comment below if you have though. Otherwise, just enjoy the potentially free real estate. NC's gangs are definitely some of the most interesting characters to flavor out the various districts, but one of the coolest things about said gangs is how they can remember V from certain interactions and treat us accordingly in subsequent ones. For instance, during the side quest, Stadium Love, wherein V, discovering a rooftop party of 6th Street gang members, joins in with a little shooting contest, hitting as many Weldon Holt faces before the timer runs out, with the winning prize being the smart assault rifle Divided We Stand, one of the better assault rifles in the game by my ranking. And for most of the quest, the 6th Streeters won't bother us too much, simply wanting to kick back with a drink and some shooting without causing too much trouble. However, that can all turn sideways come the end of the quest, depending on previous encounters with the 6th Street gang, or more specifically, the gig Life's Work, where we're sent to collect a car from a 6th Street controlled garage on behalf of one Jake Estevez, who'll later reward us with the Turbo R VTEC car. See, if you completed that gig and attacked the 6th Streeters in the process before completing Stadium Love, one of the gang members will actually recognize V.
Wait, I know where I saw you before. You were shooting at us. I told y'all not to trust that little shit. Look, I don't know why you're here or what you want, but I know what you're gonna get. Zero her!
And with barely any convincing required, the captain and the rest of the gang will turn on V. So anyway, they start blasting, and we're left with little choice but to, obliterate the entire party. Of course, not completing the gig Life's Work, things will happen differently. We'll never get recognized, be fairly awarded the gun if we win it, and are allowed to go on our merry way. So let me know which outcome you had the first time around. This whole relationship with 6th Street can actually extend further though into one of the potential paths for Phantom Liberty, where we briefly meet the 6th Street boss, Will Gunner. If we completed Stadium Love beforehand peacefully, then Gunner will praise our handling of the gun. But if we either chose to, or were forced to end the quest with violence, he'll somewhat fairly call us a murdering piece of human trash. Hopefully in Orion, this developing relationship between different gangs can feature even more strongly. That'll be cool. One very obscure opportunity that I think probably almost everyone missed now relates to Alt Cunningham, or perhaps more accurately the AI using her engrammatic data that helps us during the main questline. Alt, of course, is Johnny Silverhand's former lover, and during the Voodoo Boys series of quests, we'll play through the second Johnny flashback based entirely around his relationship with and later attempts to rescue Alt Cunningham. Now, it's worth noting that both the Johnny flashbacks are major adaptations of the canonical truths, and it's widely accepted that the way Johnny remembers things and what actually happened in the past are two different things. These flashbacks are more of a useful insight into Johnny as a character rather than genuine history lessons. Even still, the way that we chose to treat Alt in this flashback actually bears some importance to one of the game endings. Spoilers ahead for that, so jump to the next timestamp if that's an issue. After Johnny and Alt, though, recreate the explicit version of the song Drunk in Love, the encounter will devolve into arguing. And, on this rare occasion, you actually don't want to select either of these blue dialogue options, nor do you want to grab Alt by the hair a short while later. If you do, it'll mean Johnny will remember himself as an abusive arsehole to her, and engram Alt, presumably not remembering the relationship all too well herself and using these flashbacks of Johnny's to fill in the gaps, will be a little less amiable towards him thereafter. This can be seen during the Johnny and Rogue ending, during the part where Johnny dips into cyberspace to go over the plans with Alt before the mission. Once everything is planned out, we have the option to say this.
Wait, just one other thing.
I have no more time for you.
That's the response we'll get if we chose any of the aforementioned options, but if we were completely nice to Alt during the flashback, she'll actually give us the time, giving us options of apologizing, saying hi from Rogue very awkwardly, or simply telling her it's nice to see her again. A little closure for Johnny, I guess here, only earned for remembering himself as less of a dick. Some hidden Phantom Liberty choices now, and there are a couple of instances where both Alex and Reed can actually kill V if we totally ignore mission objectives and make bizarre choices. Firstly, during The Damned, where we meet Alex in the Moth Bar, and Reed finally shows his face to her after many years, a tense situation will ensue. Alex will pull her gun, called Her Majesty, on us and Reed, and generally with high enough reflexes, we can quickly disarm her and progress the scene as normal. Or, failing that, show Alex the coin from Rosalind Myers. But if we actually leave it too long, sit there wide-eyed saying nothing, Alex will quickly tire of our bullshit and end us with a single shot. Which, let's be honest, doesn't feel entirely fair given the level of gunfire V can survive down on the streets. But hey, maybe FIA agents are specially trained to shoot an exact spot for an insta-kill. That may not be too far from the truth, in fact, as much later on during Phantom Liberty, spoiler warning for the Firestarter quest, but if we side with Songbird here, V and her will flee the Dogtown Stadium via some sewer tunnels. However, during the escape, Songbird will mention there's also an elevator that we're not going to use, and with very good reason. See, we actually can use said elevator, much to her shock.
V, not that way. V, where are you going?
And waiting at the bottom is Solomon Reed, who now also doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger.
It's over.
Again, the scene can't go any further than this, but still very cool that CDPR put in these kinds of responses, knowing full well players would find them. Final hidden choice then relates to the gig Olive Branch. You know, the one where we deliver the car to the Tiger Claws, only to find out that stashed away in the back is a terrified corpo named Alex Pushkin. Now, I don't know what you normally choose for this, but this hidden detail may make you a little less sympathetic towards Alex. See, usually, all that we can learn is that he's some quality assurance director at Biotechnica. Not much to go on, and maybe we just think he's an innocent poor corpo. However, Alex actually has strong ties with the target of another gig. Joanne Koch is a woman we're sent to assassinate during the gig Guinea Pigs, thanks to her inhumane experiments on the Red Ochre Nomad clan. She basically experimented on, poisoned, and mass murdered a huge group of people, and now their remnants want revenge. It's actually a very in-depth series of shards and scanner hustles telling this massive story across Night City, which I've explained in the final chapter of the City Center Gigs video. Now, if we've completed the Guinea Pigs gig before starting Olive Branch, which granted is a weird order to do them in, Guinea Pigs feels like a late game gig by all accounts, but if we have done that, we'll actually be able to ask Alex about Joanne Koch once we learn he works for Biotechnica.
Biotechnica, huh?
Assuming you know Joanne Koch.
I do. I did a prim little project with her out in the Badlands. What about you?
Yeah. Heard all about that project. Real triumph. Wonder how many from Red Ochre died. You recall?
Who can keep track? Besides, they're like roaches. Disgusting things will just multiply again.
Yeah, bro picked the wrong dialogue option there, especially for a Nomad V. Turns out he isn't some innocent paper pusher after all. Now, there's definitely a few more hidden choices and additional dialogues like this, tucked behind completing quests in potentially bizarre ways and making interesting choices, so comment below any more you found, and if I can, maybe I'll follow up this video with a part 2 somewhere. Make sure to check out Opera GX with the Cyberpunk mod to get even more out of this game in your life, and as always, a massive thank you to the patrons for giving me the freedom to choose sponsors I only think are genuinely relevant to both the video and to you guys. Cheers for watching, I'm Bram, and have a Nova Day. Tunes.